Hello, Potato. Welcome to Weekend Magic for August the 3rd, 2024. We are officially into August now, which I guess means it is officially now spooky season, at least as far as like DisneyStore.com is concerned. They've gone all in on Halloween, changed the logo and everything, and released a bunch of new Halloween and specifically Haunted Mansion items, including the full line, I think, of Haunted Mansion Department 56 stuff. Now, if you're not familiar with Department 56, it's not really new. I've been seeing these things at my local Hallmark for a couple of years now, at least. But you know those Christmas villages that people used to have all the time before Lego did Christmas villages? They were like ceramic and they had a light in them, and I mean they were cute. And people would just build big displays of the things that they'd accumulate over the years. Well, Department 56 is basically that, or the Haunted Mansion ones are. I think they actually do have Christmas ones. I think they have Harry Potter ones too, actually. But basically that, but Haunted Mansion. I think they had both mansions. They had the hitchhiking ghosts. They have the singing busts. I will say I'm a little tempted by the Madame Leota, but I think it's like $40 and it's this big, I'm pretty sure, because they're also very, very small for the prices, like the hearse, which looks really nice. It's $110, and I don't think Disney Store is raising the price. I think that is about how much they cost at Hallmark. So I plan on giving those a miss. There are plenty of Haunted Mansion things coming that I'm into. I can give the little village a miss. Now, if you want to give me a full-on Lego Haunted Mansion, I'm there for that. But Department 56, yeah, I can pass on. Speaking of Lego, a whole wad of new Lego came out this past week as well. Pretty much the bulk of what they're releasing for the holidays this year, including new Star Wars sets, new Marvel sets, new non-Star Wars and Marvel sets. I think of some Dream stuff in there. I know that DisneyStore.com, I'm going to call it Shop Disney forever. DisneyStore.com had a bunch of the Star Wars and Marvel sets. And my birthday's coming up in a couple months, and if you want to know what to get me, any of those Star Wars Rebuild the Galaxy kits would be great, especially the Dark Falcon, because it's the most expensive one. But there's a couple Marvel ones I'd like to get as well. There's one with Thor and Suture. It's a big flame monster figurine thing, which would look really cool in my Halloween display. There is Hulk and Loki with the big flying snake thing. I don't remember what they were called. Both from the first Avengers movie, which I think would look really cool, kind of set off the front of one of my spring buildings when I reset the modular city in another 6 months or so. They also released some new, I think, flower sets that I think my wife is interested in. They released, I think the Simba Lego, I believe, came out officially. Although I want to say I've seen that at either Costco or Sam's Club for $50 or $60. But yeah, lots of good Lego. But we're not looking this week at either Lego or Haunted Mansion. We are looking at pins, because it's been a while since I did a pin video. Time to do a pin video, but again, not focusing on the Haunted Mansion. There are Haunted Mansion pins a-coming. But this week, I thought we'd go a little more old school and look at Lucasfilm, because I've got 4 pins from Lucasfilm properties to look at today. A Star Wars pin, and 3 from that fantastic grave robber, Indiana Jones. So let's go on down there to look at the little pins. We'll start off with the one that's been sitting around here the longest. We've actually got a couple of these D23 pins to look at, but today we're just looking at this one because this is the only one that's Lucasfilm. I'm saving the other one for a later video where it'll fit in, at least sort of, in a more thematic fashion. But starting off with our D23 pin for this video, it is the D23 celebrates 25 years of Star Wars The Phantom Menace. 25 years, it turns out, is apparently the perfect amount of time for us to stop hating this movie and accept it, I guess, because the fans of the original trilogy and the fans of the prequel trilogy can now join together and hate the sequel trilogy as one group. The power of one, the power of two, the power of many. Hate the sequel series. But now the prequels are okay, sure, we hated this back in 1999 when it came out, but we love it now. Except for Jar Jar. I feel like we still don't love Jar Jar. And for those of you who were too young to remember, who weren't around for this movie's original release, I would encourage you to go and look up, it's an old show starring Simon Pegg called Spaced. And there's a scene with him and Ben Bailey in a comic shop discussing episode 1. And I feel that scene is a perfect distillation of the general geek acceptance of the prequels back in the day. We may all love the prequels now, but we didn't always. And I feel like that scene will give you a good taste. If you weren't aware, if you weren't around, if you don't know that people didn't like the prequels all the time, that scene will give you a good feel of it. But yeah, this does celebrate 25 years of Star Wars: The Phantom Menace, limited edition of 1999, because, that's when it came out. And also, my personal experience with the movie is, it's fine. I don't think it's the worst of the prequel trilogy. My big mistakes, okay. As you probably know if you watch these videos for a long time, I used to work for KB Toys. KB Toys thought this would be such a barn burner, such a fantastic opportunity to make a little extra money. They actually rented a kiosk. We had a Star Wars Outpost kiosk, and we put it right in front of the store. Not elsewhere in the mall where, it wouldn't be like literally in front of our own store that sold the same things, but yeah, right in front of the store. And I knew I was not going to get to see the movie when it came out, before people would have potential to spoil it for me. So I read the novelization. That was my big mistake, because the novel is so much better than the original movie. It's there's like context, and I remember watching the movie and like, oh yeah, in the book there's an important conversation going on here between Padme and Anakin, and in the movie it's Jar Jar being a fool. Well, but still, I've accepted the movie. I never should have read the novel. I shouldn't have read the novel first. I figured no one's going to spoil it for me if I spoil it for myself. And I spoiled it in ways that I couldn't even have imagined. But anyways, that's enough for me prattling about that. Let's look at the pin. It does feature Queen Amidala. Now, whether this is the real Queen Amidala or one of her handmaids pretending to be her, I do not know. But it says Phantom Menace. It says 20th anniversary. It's got some nice golden trim on it. It is double pin backed. And yeah, limited edition of 1999. And I'm pretty sure the pin is actually sold out. I haven't looked. We've actually had it sitting around here, I think, maybe a month now. It's been a while since we picked this one up. But it's nice. I feel like, as much guff as the movie got back in the day, I never really hated it. I don't hate any of the Star Wars movies. But, I do remember seeing like the trailer for the first time and seeing the pod racer sequence and going, oh, that's going to be a video game. And I was not wrong. But it's a nice pin, and it does bring back the memories, because I was a little young when the original, well, in fact, I don't remember seeing the first two in the theater at all. I'm reasonably sure I wouldn't have seen the original in the theater, as I was not quite born yet, I think, when it came out. And I don't know that I would have seen Empire in the theater, because I would have been probably too young. But I know I did see Jedi in the theater. And, yeah, only kind of vaguely. I know I saw it in the theater. I don't really remember the experience. I do remember seeing the prequels in the theater. So even though I'm an original trilogy person, I'm of that generation, these are the ones I do remember seeing in theater. So that's enough about Space Wizards. It's time to get a little bit more grounded with something a little less fantastic, like this. Yes, a plastic baggie with a label stuck over the pin inside. As you can see here, it's a double pin back. I already told you it's Indiana Jones, and it is one of my favorite things from the movies, the Ark of the Covenant. Does this lid come off? The lid moves. I wonder. All right, well, let's get to that. So yeah, I have my reproduction of the Golden Idol from the beginning of Raiders. I have my Sankara stone, which, to be fair, looks nothing like the thing in the movie. I have my head of the Staff of Ra. I even have my Holy Grail. But I don't have a full-on or even scale replica of the Ark of the Covenant. Also, they released, not that long ago, they released the Grail tablet on DisneyStore.com. Love that too, but it was like $100. And that's the thing I will definitely keep an eye on for to go on sale. Hopefully they won't sell well and they'll mark it down and I can get it for half off, but we'll keep an eye on it. But so they don't have a Ark of the Covenant in like prop replica, I can at least get one in pin replica, which is actually a very thick pin. And you're looking at it, it looks like I don't remember it saying it was a slider pin, but I mean, looking at it, I think it must be. So let's see if, I mean, you can close your eyes, but I mean, that would sort of defeat the purpose of watching a video, right? And yeah, less frightening than in the movie. It just says Indiana Jones on the inside in gold. But I didn't know it actually was a slider pin. That's cool. Doesn't do much, but that's still cool. It's the details are maybe a little bit lacking on it, like especially in the angels up top here. But you have some of the gilding around the edge there. You have some detail work on the front. It is a double Mickey back, pin back. Yeah, it's a much chunkier pin. It's a thick pin because that sliding element is actually pretty thick on its own, which is probably good because it'll hopefully hold in place. It won't break and fall off. It does seem to not slide loose too easily. Kind of locks into place open a little bit. Not totally, but a little bit. But it's nice. It's good. It's solid. It's chunky. It is all one color. But yeah, it's nice. And it's as close to the Ark of the Covenant as I'm going to probably ever get to own. And then speaking of the Raiders of the Lost Ark, we have our next pin, which is, I knew it was an animated pin, but I don't think it's animated in quite the way I thought it was going to be. It's also from Raiders of the Lost Ark, and I don't know why we have Raiders of the Lost Ark stuff coming out right now. And again, they did release the Grail tablet as well, which is not Raiders, of course, that's Last Crusade. We have a single pin back here. And it does depict Indy in the famous, I would argue one of the most famous movie scenes in movie history, the opening to Raiders when he's stealing the golden idol and being chased by the boulder. It's honestly one of my favorite bits of movie making ever, my favorite scenes in any movie, because it is its own little mini movie. You could just show that on its own, and I think a lot of people would pretty quickly get who Indiana Jones, which I'm pretty sure is the point. I mean, it's before the opening credits. It's its own little mini movie that tells its own little full story. And yeah, it was good stuff. It was good stuff back then, and it's honestly good stuff now. It holds up. And of course, we had that fantastic Lego set last year based on the same scene. Now, I don't know why we're getting Indiana Jones Raiders stuff right now, because Raiders, I believe, came out in like 81. So it's not like a big anniversary for it. Like, you know, with the Star Wars pin, it's 25 years. With Indy, it's like 33, 43. It's a while, but it's not like a 5 or a 0, you know? So I don't know why we're getting this stuff now, but I mean, I'm never gonna hate some Indiana Jones stuff. And I said it was animated. It's got motion to it. And you might think that motion would be with the boulder. That would make sense, because in the movie, it's the boulder that is rolling. But no, it is not the boulder. It is actually Indy. Indy actually wobbles back and forth. I guess like he's running or dodging or jumping. I don't know what the thought of that was. Because I feel like, I mean, when you're just kind of walking with it, it's going to make a nice rattling noise. I don't know if the microphone's picking that up because it's stuck to my chest, not near the pin, but he doesn't actually seem to like wobble on his own very much. He seems to kind of want to fall into this particular position and stay there. But if you look very closely, I don't know if I can get close enough to the camera without it going blurry, but Indy is holding the golden idol, which is fantastic. It is honestly, that's of my little prop reproduction things that Disney put out a few years ago, the golden idol is my favorite. That's kind of a prop reproduction I wanted for years and years, having previously only been able to satisfy myself with a little pencil holder, which is normally on the shelf up there. You can see it's behind E.T. and Pennywise the Clown. And also the one that came with the talking 12-inch action figure back when Crystal Skull came out. But this does say on Indiana Jones, Fortune and Glory. Fortune and Glory, kid. Fortune and Glory. It's got a nice printing of the boulder. It's got for how small it is, I think a fairly well detailed Indy. And just some random snakes on the side, because it always has to be snakes. Our final pin today is another Indiana Jones, but not one specific to any movie. Again, just They've put the label over the pins. You can't really see it in the package. Single pin back, and it is Indiana Jones himself on like a compass rose sort of a thing. 'Cause, you know, the iconic, oops, out of the glare, that iconic portion of, I think, all the movies where you see them traveling on the map. And, you know, the compass rose gives you a nice kind of remembrance of that, as well as a nice view of Indy himself. And all these ones are actually open edition pins. I think they're all still available. Only the Phantom Menace pin was a limited, and that was because it's D23 pin, and those are always like limited. But yeah, it's a nice pin. It's a nice, just Indian. I think honestly this is one I was gonna skip on, but because there was 4 pins I was buying. We aren't looking at all of them today, and it came to a price amount that, with shipping, would be just a tiny bit more than getting free shipping if I bought one more thing. So I thought, you know, this is not a bad pin. It's not in my top 2 of Indiana Jones pins that came out on that day, but it's not a bad pin. Oh, I hadn't noticed before. It's like glossy all around except for on Indy himself. It's got kind of a texture on his shadow. I don't think that necessarily shows up on the camera very well, but all the really dark portions here have a texture to them. The rest of it's glossy. I don't think when I catch the glare, I don't think it's super obvious just because there's so much glare. But yeah, I hadn't noticed that before. I really hadn't looked at it because it has a sticker in front of it. I try not to look at these things before I look at them with you so that we can experience them together for the very first time. So that's basically all we have this week. Just 4 lovely little pins, 1 D23 Star Wars pin and 3 Indiana Jones pins. So it's sort of a Pindiana Jones video. In fact, that's probably what I've ended up calling this, was Pindiana Jones, because that's just the sort of lame pun that I find funny. But what do you think of these pins? Which one is your favorite? Which one is your least favorite? What do you think? Have you picked up the Grail tablet? What do you think of it? Is it worth getting? I know that it's like mounted for like wall hanging and stuff, which is pretty cool. I do kind of want it. Not as much as the pieces I already have, particularly the Grail and the Golden Idol. I do wish I'd gotten the Voodoo doll. I did want the Voodoo doll. I was disappointed they didn't have it in the parks when we went that year. And it like never went on clearance. I guess people bought it. So I would have liked to have gotten that, but I'm happy with what I did get. So that's fine. There's only so much room on that shelf where they're sitting anyways. But yeah, what do you think of these pins? What do you think of the Department 56 Haunted Mansion stuff? I think it's neat, but I'm not super impressed with it, and it's very expensive for how big it is, and I don't need to start another village. My Lego Halloween display takes up plenty of space. But if you are doing the Department 56 thing, what do you think of it? Let me know in the comments. But that'll wrap us up for this week. It's a little break, I think, before we go back into full swing with Haunted Mansion season. There is at least a couple more Haunted Mansion videos coming in the next few weeks. So if you like those, look forward to that. And if you don't like those, you'll probably just be the majority of people who don't watch those videos. And that's fine. Absolutely fine. But if you did watch this video and you watched all the way to this part, I do thank you for watching. I hope you found it at all interesting or entertaining. If you did, give the video a like, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next video. And now that the State Fair is over, it'll probably be Lego.